Okay, can anybody hear me? All right, some camera difficulties this time. It was all set to go, but life is what it is. All right, I see two people here. Can you hear me? Give me a comment. I just had an idea. I'm going to turn around a little bit. Just hang on this one. It's a little better. I don't have to look sideways now. I can see the screen. Okay, if you can hear me, raise your hand. Okay, not too exciting yet, I'm guessing. Ah, okay, so you guys, can you hear me? Any sound? Ah, okay, good. All right, so we are here. Technical difficulties once again. This time the camera stopped working, so I had to unplug it and replug it in several times. So I don't know about this. All right, well, we go ahead and start. So the first one on our list is Lena Fong, which is from Coterone, France, and this is a rosé. It's probably warm now. Let's see. Okay, this is one I just got in. Actually, got it in last Friday, but not in time for the tasting. I have been getting a lot of rosés in, so I'm almost all of them are in now. So go ahead and give this one a try. Now, if you notice on the list, the next one is Lena Fong from France, also Coterone. This is the red version of this one. I do not know the grapes. Coterone typically is predominantly Syrah. And I don't know for sure what this one is. I assume it's a Syrah Grenache blend, primarily Syrah, second Grenache, and then some odds and ends thrown in for good measure. Bouvedra, for example, Cinsault, and a couple others I can't think of right off the top of my head. All right, this I like this one. It has got some nice acidity to it, and really is a refreshing type of wine to be drinking on a hot summer night on the patio. So enjoy it. Let me know what you think of it. All right, get my legs across here. Okay, so Côte de Rome, that is in the southeast part of France. So along the Rhone River. It translates something to the effect of banks of the Rhone River. That's the Côte part. And the northern part of the Coterone region is, when they make their reds, they're almost entirely Syrah. I mean, they're either 100% Syrah, or some of the producers up north may do a blend, but the majority of the producers do 100% Syrah for the Coterone reds in the northern part. As you get down to the middle and south part of the Rhone River, being closer to the Mediterranean Sea, that's where you start getting the actual blends with the other grapes in them. Just blanking on all of them right now. Roussanne, I think, is one. So I think I mentioned Grenache. Grenache and Syrah are the two primary grapes when it's a blend, generally. So you'll have, maybe 90% between the two of those grapes, and then the other 10% will be filled in with Cinsault, Mourvedre, and a couple others. Again, I'm blanking on that right now. So anyway, let's go ahead and try pretty much the same wine, only made as a red this time. This is the same producer, and I don't know if it's the same blend or not. Probably not, but we'll see. That's number 2 on the list. Okay, unfortunately, I forgot to get mine out of the refrigerator sooner, but a little bit cold. Yeah, if you just took your wine out of the refrigerator before starting this video, you might want to warm up the reds. It's a good way to do it in your glass. Just kind of, put the stem between your fingers and let your hand do the warming. Okay, noticeable differences for me is, to me, there's a lot more flavor in this, a lot less acidity coming through on the palate. It might be because it's because the other is made as rosé. That's why. You get a lot of the flavor and the color from the skins of the grapes. To make rosé, you do not have lots of contact with the skins. So they bring the grapes in, harvest them, put them in a big whatever, and give them a little smush to get the juice flowing, and then set the timer after a certain amount of time. And this varies from rosé to rosé, from producer to producer, from vintage to vintage. So there's no set amount of time for that contact. But what they will do is, after whatever time they determine, when that time is up, then they will strain off the juice and remove the skins. They squeeze all the juice out. The color is in the skins, not the juice. So that's why you have the contact with them. And a lot of the flavor is in the skins, but you do get the acidity from the juice, or can. There's other ways to add or remove some of the acidity if it's too high or too low. So anyway, with the red, you've got that long contact with the skins. In other words, during fermentation, so generally a couple of weeks. And then they strain the juice off. But at that point, it's fermented, so it's wine, raw wine, but it's still wine. It's got the alcohol in it. And now it's got all the color from the skins, it's got the flavor. And that's why you have a big difference in the flavor between this one and the first one, the rosé. That one does drink very nicely. Okay, let's see. A few comments there. Feel free to comment. I know there's not a whole lot of people here, but we'll make do. If I ever get this thing figured out and working correctly, I may do another live one sometime. But I don't know. I'm just not having good luck with this. All right, number 3. What is 3? Oh yeah, Machini. This is a Malbec from Argentina. And last week we did the Machini Rosé, for those of you that tried that. This is the Malbec. I believe the Rosé was also a Malbec. I'm not for sure off the top of my head, but I think it was. So again, you're going to have some differences between the Rosé last week and this Rosé, or in this red. Same grape, same producer, probably similar or close vineyards. Not necessarily the same vineyards, but close enough. And this being a full-on Malbec now. Yeah, much fuller bodied. You can taste a little bit of the toast on the oak, or I do. You can taste what you taste, of course. Now, this is made in a little bit more of an old world style. And what I mean by that, generally old world wines are meant to go with food. So it's unusual in Europe, for example, to sit down or to just, have a glass of wine with, any friends over. You don't do that. You have your wine. If your meat and greet, if you're having a big get together, you have some appetizers around, and then you're serving the wine to go with that. And then as you sit down at the dinner table, then more wine is introduced. It's not as common as it would be here to just go over to someone's house and have a glass of wine with no food. And even here, you'll have cheese and crackers, but there it would be more of a meal setting, typically. Sometimes it can be a lighter fare, just some bread and cheese or something like that. But European wines definitely go better, as a rule, with food. In Italy, it's all about the food, and the wine is there to go with it and bring out the best of the food, and the food brings out the best of the wine. Okay. I'm trying to read my. Okay, smell and taste of dill. I'm assuming that's this one. Not getting that myself, but that's okay. We all taste differently. I lick myself every so often just to be sure of that. Yeah, to me, I'm getting the woodiness of it, and that would be from the barrels, the aging. And okay, I mentioned toast on this, I believe, a little bit of smokiness that you might detect in this. That the smoky elements in wine generally come from the barrel. And the way they make barrels traditionally is they set up the staves and put a little temporary ring around to kind of hold them in place. But they do that over a little campfire. Well, it's not a campfire, it's a fire, but what we would look at or view or refer to as a campfire is a small fire. And what happens with that, when they put the staves around, it kind of acts like a chimney, and it brings the heat and everything up. And the heat is what softens the wood. It's not like melting, but it makes it more pliable so they can start bending the tops together and the bottoms together ultimately. So what they will do is, get these staves set up with kind of a metal ring to support them. And they're just, lined up all in a row. And as the heat starts to build up, then they take another ring and put it over the top that's smaller than the first one. So it starts to compact those staves together. And then it concentrates the heat more so they get softer, and they tap it all the way down. And then they ultimately put the finished ring on to hold it, the one that's going to be on the permanent barrel. When they kind of get the one end done, then they turn it over. Now you've got your tight bottom, but the tops are all sticking out. And then they kind of do the same thing. They slowly bring them in over the fire. Okay, so that fire, in addition to softening the wood, starts to influence any residual sap or moisture that's in it. It dries it out partly, but it also releases those flavors. The caramelization is partly what they refer to it as. So you can get the different flavors that are in the oak itself. And if they leave on the fire longer or shorter, however they want it, then you have what they call a light toast or a heavy toast or medium toast, something in between. And the toast just refers to how much char is on the barrel itself. So to me, this would be probably a medium toast, but I'm not real super expert in that because I don't have access to what barrels they have and how much toast they have on them. But if you go through vineyards if you get a barrel room tour, for example, they'll have the barrels up on racks. If you look at the cap part, the flat part that goes on the top or the bottom, generally they have the top pointing out because that's the one that has the writing on it. And they'll attach stickers and information from the vineyard saying, this comes from Vineyard X down the road and it's blah, 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 whatever it is. And they'll also make whatever notes are appropriate to that vintage and to the wines and the vineyards. So, but the actual barrel, and I've got pictures of this, nothing I can access real quickly to show you. Wouldn't even know how at this point on here. I'm lucky to get the webcam on. But I've got some pictures from a tour I did a while back, and it lists whoever made the barrel, number one. Well, this particular, if I'm recalling, I might get these mixed up. Well, it's a Tokay, which is not a French barrel. It's not an American barrel. It's a Hungarian barrel, and are made with Hungarian oak in Hungary. But it also had the letters MT on it, medium toast. And you'll find information like that. That's actually part of the barrel. So if you have access to the barrels and can see, what's written on them, or actually these were kind of burned in like the old-fashioned wood burning kit things. Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. So anyway, it had an MT on it, which was medium toast. I verified with our tour guide. Oh yeah, it's medium toast. That's what that means. So, yeah, good for me. So that's what I'm thinking this is, because I'm definitely getting some smokiness out of this. Yeah, let's see, I got a comment here. Okay, a little too woody. So yeah, that's what it is from the barrel. And so hopefully that was informative for you. Well, let's go into number 4 here. I don't want to do this all night, although I could. You guys, I think you pretty much know I can talk about wine forever. All right, number 4 is, oh yeah, Snake Charmer. This was the second red for Club some time ago. It's a Shiraz out of Australia. And for those who don't remember, Shiraz and Syrah are the same grape. Just 2 different names, the same grape. Shiraz is generally thought of as an Australian term for it. It does show up in, I think I've seen it out of South Africa and maybe out of America. I'm trying to think of for sure about South America. So I kind of think of it as a Southern Hemisphere name for that grape, although that's not 100% the case. Of course, the exception that makes the rule. I tried a wine one of my vendors brought in recently, kind of light, I think. Look at my notes on that. But it was made in California, but they referred to it as a Shiraz. Well, in tasting it, their concept for calling it Shiraz is because they modeled it after an Australian Shiraz. So normally it would have been called Syrah. They called theirs Shiraz. And I tasted it did taste more Australian than it did Californian. So kind of give them that point. I don't know. I'm kind of a purist. I like to keep terms correct and proper and in their proper place. And I already decided that Shiraz should be strictly in the Southern Hemisphere. So they're wrong. All right. Okay, I'm smelling the last one on here. I need a better swirl here. Ah, yes. One of the first things I get from this is a change in body. To me, it's a much fuller, heavier wine than the previous 2 reds, and of course, heavier than the rosé. So you get that right off the bat. It's the mouth feel. Yeah, it feels more like you got, I don't know what you got. You got something more viscous in your mouth, more like drinking oil versus drinking water type thing. Not that I recommend drinking water, but whatever. You enjoyed the Shiraz, you're done already? Geez, marathon or a race, sprint? I guess that would be not marathon. Too quick. Oh, by the way, you may notice there is a time delay on this. It's set for normal. I'm not sure how long that is, so we'll see. So I guess what that means is I could actually respond to your message that you type in before you type it. Or is it the other way around? All right, the Shiraz here. You definitely get some oak on there. You get some tannins on the finish. Not as smoky as the previous one, whichever one it was. This is a little bit more of an easy drinking wine. I think Australian wines tend to be that way in general. In some respects, Australia reminds me of California. You got some high-end wines that are meant to go with food or better with food, meant to be laid down and aged. And then you've got a lot of wine that's just meant to be enjoyed. And this is definitely, I think, one of those. I mean, obviously you can do it with food. You can't. It's not that you can't do it with food. It's just some wines are better with food. Ooh, chicken artichoke pizza. That sounds really good. I see some more people joined in since I looked at the number. Yay. Okay. MM, not. Okay, MM, do I know you? Or are you just one of the, well, obviously I've seen you if you're tasting along with us, so not recognizing the name there, but that's okay. If you want to identify yourself, you can. You don't have to. Just tell me later when we're in person. But it's, yeah, this is a good drinking wine. It's an easy drinker. It's not quite a patio pounder, as some of them refer to, where you just out and back and bottle after bottle of fun, easy drinking wines. But this could sneak into the mix. All right, so that's the tasting wines for tonight. Any other comments or questions? And I'll remember that there's a lag, so you haven't heard that question yet. I'll kind of look at the comments. Yeah, I rearranged this. I'm looking over here now at the comments instead of, like that way. Makes it a little easier. And unfortunately, my cable on the monitor is still too short. I may have to, well, I'm not doing this next week. Okay, yes, let me talk about that while I'm thinking about it. If I haven't told you already, or even if I have, just to refresh your memory, I've been talking with my wine reps. I had 2 different ones come in today. And as I understand it, and they understand it, which is pretty much the same, next week I will be able to do tastings in the store again. And if anyone wants to come in and buy a bottle and have it here, or buy a glass of wine and have it here, they can. That will once again be a legal thing. Which, why it was illegal, I'm not entirely sure, but it was. So that will kind of go back to normal for the time being. I'm going to keep my reduced hours just in case they decide, oh, yeah, we got too many new cases, so now we're going to shut everything down again. I won't have to go back and forth between hours. So I'm going to kind of keep it to that, at least for the next couple weeks. So it'll be Wednesday through Saturday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., which I'm kind of liking that because I'm getting out of here earlier and I can do stuff at home if I go home right away, I mean. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, Bob and Michelle. Yay, he made it. Oh, anyway, so let's see. Oh, yeah, the other part of that is part of the step 2 or whatever they're calling it is it's not 100% back to the way it was, but still have to do the social distancing. I might see if I can find some of those 6-foot stickers and measure them out and put them on the floor. Of course, then later on I'll have to peel them up, which will probably be a pain, but we'll see. Might just do a masking tape X or something. I don't know. So what we will do a little differently on the tastings is when you come in, obviously I'll see you and we can get you started with your first one. Then go find a table and sit at the table. And you're supposed to not commingle with other people, but if you come in as a group, the groups have to be 6 or fewer in the group, and which is pretty easy since my tables only seat 4. So I've got the table set up a little differently, so they're already 6 feet apart. I've also got the back room set up that way, so if we get crowded enough in here next Friday where the 5 tables I've got are not enough, then I've got more in the back, so we can use those too. And again, those are spaced out. So anyway, get your first sample in your glass, go back to the table with your little party and talk about it and drink it and enjoy it, and then come back up to where I normally pour at for number 2, and then go back to your table. If one person wants to bring up multiple glasses for the group, that's fine. That's not a problem. It's probably easier that way too. And let me think, what else? As far as I know, there should not be a food requirement like there is currently in restaurants and and bar and grill type places where you have to, if you're having alcohol, you have to have food on the table in front of you. That won't be the case, as I understand it. Now, keep in mind, they change by next Monday. Yeah, who knows what Lincoln's going to tell us. So I won't be open Monday, of course, so I'll kind of be keeping an eye on it until next Wednesday when I will be open. And then by Friday is when you can come in and actually drink wine here. So I really appreciate you guys sticking with me. All, not just the videos, but coming in and supporting the store in the meantime, even though you can't come in and sample stuff. I have been legally sampling wine with my distributors. They can still bring it to me so I can try it out. I have had some interesting ones, and there's a few that I will probably be bringing in soon. Haven't set any dates for any of this yet. Also, I'm looking at doing a rosé tasting. I usually do those in May. I think it's been May in the past, early to mid-May, or early to mid-May, yeah. This year I couldn't do it. So I want to get a bottle of all the rosés, have it open, come in and sample them all, have a little sheet to go with it, decide if you like any of them, and that day I'll probably have them discounted or buy 6 and get an extra discount, something like that. I have to look and see what I've done in the past. But yeah, it is rosé season, definitely. And some of my customers were actually asking for rosés, and I said, I don't have them in yet. I kind of held off getting them in because I wanted to do the big tasting. So I'm going to plan on doing that. I haven't set the date, but it will probably be the 2nd or 3rd Saturday of June. And again, assuming things don't change in the meantime. Okay, let's see what we got here. Comments. Okay, enjoyed the Shiraz. Have a winner. Shiraz is very nice. Goes well with our chicken artichoke pizza. Very nice. Oh, Bob and Michelle, I guess I wasn't looking at those earlier. Did I go back far enough? Okay. Yeah, I've done a great job. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, well, I'm glad you have enjoyed this. I wish it had gone smoother on the technical side. I may play with this some more. And I think I've told some of you, I don't know if I told all of you, but the whole COVID thing has kind of been an inspiration in a different direction. It's, before I never really thought about doing online tasting type stuff. It's like, well, what's the point if people haven't got the wine? But I've heard some things other places in Nebraska have done. One of them is Norfolk has been, during this whole COVID thing, has been, did kind of a survey, what wines would you like to taste together online type thing? And people voted on that, brought in 2 different bottles of wine, and then people came in, bought those, and then on the scheduled date, they did a kind of like I did here, a tasting, but of just those 2 wines and a lot more discussion about it and more background on those 2. So give him a chance to research it, I suppose, and get more information on it. So I thought that could be something that could be fun. Maybe in the wintertime do some of this, especially if it's, we got a lot of snow in the forecast, people don't want to get out. Or even if they do get out, we could still do it. Pick a Wednesday night or something, I don't know, and just do something special like that. The other thing that has kind of come up and come to mind is not necessarily, I don't know if I can do it live or not, but do a video where I'm talking to a person who actually makes some of the wine that I sell. I know some of you have heard me tell the story about talking to the guy that makes the Guilty and Executioner and a couple of the other Sweet Justice. I got one more, Verdict. The Shiraz wine, or not Shiraz, sorry, Shyness wines. I won't go into that story now, but I actually got a call from the winemaker, and I was just closing up when the call came in, and talked to him for about 20 minutes. It was an amazing conversation. I'd love to get him on video and kind of relive parts of that and hear new things he's got to say. Don't know if he would be interested or willing to do that, but I think it would be a fun thing. Maybe have one particular wine that we talk about and give everybody a chance to get some of their own before we do the video, and maybe taste along and listen, or if it's pre-recorded, you can get the wine and listen to it whenever. And if I can figure out how to do it, which I don't think will be impossible, I'm going to be looking into some of this stuff more. Maybe do a live interview. So if I have, Joe from Joe's Vineyard, I talk about him a lot. Get him on here and do a little live thing, just like I'm doing now, only with a separate person, somebody who knows what they're talking about with their wine. And give you guys a chance to ask questions. It's like, oh yeah, I tried your whatever wine and I tasted this. Where did that come from, or whatever you want to ask? I don't know. Or how did you make it? Just don't ask dumb stuff and embarrass me. You know what I'm talking about there. But anyway, that's a thought. So I'm looking at doing different things. Use the technology. I'll figure it out eventually. I should. Enough years in programming. So anyway, let me know what you think about that. If you have other ideas that would, fit into the technology aspect of, the video part. So I do actually like doing videos. It's like, especially this way, because you guys can type comments, but you can't interrupt me. I think that's kind of fun. All right, you have a comment here from, I'm guessing, okay, Rigoberto Leal. Am I pronouncing that anywhere close? Can you tell me where you're listening from? What country or state? Okay, now I'm going to wait for the delay to take effect. So you probably can look at the comments and see for yourself. We got a person whose name I don't recognize. But anyway, I would like to do some of that. And to me, there's a lot of possibilities there for some interesting videos. And if you haven't noticed already, I've already done a lot of videos. A lot of these were done before I opened the store, so I looked much younger back then. Less gray hair, I'm sure. And so, yeah, feel free to look at any of those. Most of the videos I did in the past were named as a question. So one of the most popular ones is, what is a Bordeaux wine? That's the name of the video, and I answer the question. So some of those I might, if I can get myself moving and motivated and catch my breath occasionally, then I might redo some videos, make new ones, of course. There's some things I've had in mind that I'd like to do. I'd like to do more Q&A videos. So, questions. I love questions. So, all right. Anyway, I think that's enough babbling for me. I think I've already gone longer than I wanted to. Okay, part of that time was technical difficulties. But anyway, if you joined the video late, you should be able to go back and watch it from the beginning or rewatch the whole thing if you so choose. And I am going to go ahead and close it off here unless I see any really quick last minute questions, which I need to find out how long that delay is. So I'll wait a moment or two here, but I think I covered all the stuff. But I guess the key thing is, everybody stay happy and healthy, and as long as you're doing well and want to come in and support me, I'm all for that. And I'll try and we'll get through this together. As some of you may recall, last year we had a flood that we had to get through, and I think this year, I think in some respects the flood actually prepared us for this, because I think we've had a lot better response. I've had a lot better response in the store through the COVID than I did the flood. I think last year the flood was kind of mentally devastating to a lot of people. So, okay, I haven't seen any new questions show up, so I'm going to go ahead and call it quits. So, a little drop of wine in there, so cheers, and thank you for watching.